Hi, I'm Susan Peterson, and you are listening to Started from the Bottom, an entrepreneur-focused podcast on getting started. Here you will find all the mindset tools and resources you need to just get started.
I'm good.
You're hot, but
Ow!
Okay.
Did we just go?
Yeah. Well, first of all,
There's no like initiatory. There's no
I'm going to
prayer.
read your bio, so that'll kind of be like the. All right. Charlie Bird is an award-winning author, podcaster, therapist, and social media influencer based in Utah. Here's Narn.
Should we start over?
No, Abby's good. So I just give a pause and then I say it again. Okay. He is known for performing as Cosmo the Cougar at Brigham Young University from 2016 to 2018, where he received national acclaim for his dance performances and viral mascot videos. Bird, I assume that's you. Yeah.
It's me.
It's you. Was born and raised in Southwest Missouri and served a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in the Redlands, California. He has 2 undergraduate degrees from BYU as well as a master's in social work. Charlie is passionate about bridging the gap between LGBTQ and religious communities, evident by his frequent work with nonprofit organizations and weekly involvement with the podcast Questions from the Closet. When he isn't writing, speaking, or advocating, Charlie can be found hiking the Wasatch Mountains, traveling with friends, or tumbling at local gymnastics gyms. To stay up to date with all of Charlie's advocacy and adventures, you can find him on social media at Mr. Charlie Bird.
That makes me sound pretty good.
You are pretty good. I've known you for a while now. Charlie, welcome to Started from the Bottom.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Charlie, you are an author. Well, I just read your bio. Activist, athlete, and all-around type A. How did you get here, Charlie?
Susan, I can't take this seriously.
You don't have to take it seriously.
Well, we know each other too well.
I know. You guys, Charlie and I actually stole a Jeep on Sunday.
We did.
Yeah. We committed grand theft auto, but not really if you really are from the police department of Lehigh. But if you're not, yes, we did.
That's so funny. Can I tell people how we met?
Yes, I would love that.
So I met Susan through a recommendation through a friend. I wrote a book. Actually, this ties in really well. So growing up, it was a cold and stormy night.
In Missouri.
So I'm born and raised in Southwest Missouri, grew up on a cattle ranch, was always really involved in athletics.
But you can't back up a trailer.
That's so mean. I'm probably not as good as I used to be. And my sister, both my older sisters could probably back up a trailer better than I could.
If you want to piss Charlie off, you just tell him he can't back up a trailer.
Anyway. So, yeah, it's probably because it hits too close to home, and I'm worried that I'm not as good as I used to be. So it's a soft spot. I'm vulnerable there.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so always did athletics. I played basketball in high school, cross country, from a really sporty family, and then was always just like just pushing myself to achieve more. And looking back, I think a lot of that was because I was ashamed of being gay. That was a secret I kept for a really long time, and I figured if I could like build this impenetrable like shield of perfection, then it wouldn't matter what people said about me or if they teased me for being effeminate or like used any slurs.
How'd that work out?
It made me good at a lot of things.
Yeah, but your family's just naturally talented.
Both of my parents are high achievers and like expected a lot. So I think there was like a lot with the family name, but also I do think there was like this extra level of just like trying to make sure that like I couldn't be really made fun of, or it was like self-protection, right?
Mm-hmm.
Through like perceived perfection. And so, I mean, to your question, like how did all this, I think, it's kind of both, right? But anyway, I'm obviously a very religious person, and within my religion, it's not exactly kosher, to bring in another religious word, to be gay. It's kind of like a new thing, and I really struggled coming to terms with my orientation and figuring out how I fit within society, and even with myself, just like accepting something that felt so foreign and antithetical to the person I wanted to be. And anyway, so fast forward, I ended up writing a book about this, and that's when I met you, because I was a nobody. Like, nobody knew who I was. And I had this book that was so meaningful to me and that like I felt so passionate about, and I needed help getting the word out. And so my good friend McKenna was like, you know what? I have a friend named Susan. She's really well connected. She's good at business things. Send her your book, see what happens. So I sent you like a random cold copy. And I remember I was so stressed because the price to send the package was $5.80. And I was like bootstrapping to get this book out. And I didn't have a job because I'd just been writing. And I was like, this $5 better be worth it. Because it was just going to, we live in the same town.
Yeah, you could have dropped it off.
I know I didn't want to be creepy. I didn't know you. And the $5 was definitely worth it. Maybe not the full $5.80, but at least $5 of that was worth it. Because you were so gracious and helped me put on this really amazing influencer event. And that really kind of put me on the map, and helped me amplify my voice and be able to share a lot of like thoughts and insights that are really important to me.
So 2 things on that story. You weren't nobody. You were Cosmo the Cougar.
I was Cosmo the Cougar.
But
like nobody knew it was me, right?
Oh, I know, but I can't wait to share your viral thing on my page, so it'll go viral on my page.
Anybody who reposts this video will go viral.
You go viral. If you guys, you were on like ESPN and like Sports Center and all the places,
right?
But you were you were in as Cosmo, not
For
as
sure.
you, yeah. And then number 2, I feel like, so you did have like a following.
I had a following as a mascot character.
Yeah.
But like my individual self was.
Yeah, and then you were able to actually, I think that a lot of times people amass a following or they get people following them for one thing, and to like switch it or to pivot it is actually really, it's hard. And I think you did a really good job of it.
Oh, thank you.
And so, yeah, then you did all the work. I mean, I just gave you a couple names and made a couple cold calls for you. You did all the work.
Yeah.
And it was the best book it was so meaningful, so powerful, so beautiful. It's called Without the Mask. Mm-hmm. It came out in 2020, had nothing to do with COVID.
Can you imagine? I was because COVID hit, like became a thing, like all the shutdowns the week after it was printed.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I guess that's my base, right? Like if I can trick people into reading it.
Right.
And then they're like, oh, wait, this is about gay rights.
All right. Well, it's such an important book. I think if you are religious or you come from a conservative community or you grew up with conservative views or whatever it is, I think that your book is so beautiful, so powerful. I had my kids read it that summer. I gave it to everyone I knew. And it's just like, it's a great book.
Thank you.
You did amazing on it.
Thank you.
But we met for that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then we became best frenemies after that.
I was so like interested in you when you showed up to the launch party and everyone's like dressed up, right? Because it's an event and you're in like a black hoodie. And I was like, who is this woman?
It's so funny. Every time someone's going to an event with me, they're like, what are you wearing? I'm like,
what do you think?
Black jeans and a black t-shirt and some sneakers. It's just who I am. I can't change it at this point.
I think it's really, really cool.
But I'm going to smell great.
Yeah, you're going to smell rich.
Rich, and my shoes will be cute. Okay, so talk to me about like growing up and your childhood. Like, are there some stories where it's like you knew you were going to kind of go off on your own and write your own adventure? Yeah.
I think I'm really grateful that I had parents who taught me resilience, because it takes resilience to, be yourself in general, like anybody, like to say like, this is who I am and I'm claiming that. But then there's these social and cultural factors that made it a lot more difficult to me, being part of the LGBTQ community, but having faith, and then wanting to just like bridge this divide that I kept seeing over and over. And so how that relates to like my book and my podcast and my advocacy work, I think there's 2 things that really helped. And one came from each parent. First of all, my mom was I just think she's brilliant. She's like a literary genius. And also she was, quote unquote, just a stay-at-home mom. But within that role, she taught me how to read, taught me how to love words. And just like my earliest memories are her reading to me. And we would go to the library like every day over the summer, and I got to pick out new books. And she would encourage me to write and think. And I actually, my childhood bedroom it was like we moved into my great grandma's home after she moved because she couldn't take care of it. And it was her library. And so there were encyclopedias, and I was just surrounded by words. And I just was so fascinated. I'm in this small town in the middle of nowhere, Missouri, but I can read about Egypt and I can read about a fantasy, And so I just had this room full of words, and it really helped me see that through language and through reading, we can transport people, because I felt transported to different places. And so that's really what inspired me to write the book. Was I thought, I have this interesting thing that I want people to know about. I want religious leaders, I want community leaders, I want parents to know and be able to connect with their gay kids. And if I can transport them to my life through my words, then we can start getting somewhere and connect on those emotions. So that comes from my mom. Love her. And then my dad's side, my dad is so belligerent. He's he's a hard man, And growing up, he would always run marathons, and I would ride my bike with him as he was training. Me and my older sisters would all do this. And he would make us get off and run with him for a little bit. So I'm 7, 8 years old. And he would say, we're going to run to that tree, on the trail. I'd say, okay. So we'd make it to the tree. And then I'd be like, yes, we made it to the tree. I can stop. And he'd be like, now we're going to run to that rock. And every time we would make the goal, he would say, we're going to go a little more. We're going to push harder. We're going to push harder. It was so mean. Back in the day, I was like, oh my gosh, Dad, stop doing this. But looking back, I think that made me really good at setting goals and not being complacent in those goals. Or when life kind of switches your plan and takes away your comfort, you can keep pushing. And I'm really grateful that was kind of the attitude he raised me with.
I was actually listening to a podcast, the Huberman Lab, and he had a guy on that was talking about setting goals, and he used that exact example. Because when I run, I do that, where I'll be like, okay, I'm just going to go. I just set little goals. I'm like, okay, I'm going to run 3 miles, but it's I got to get to that rock or that tree or that bush or that next thing. And sometimes all you can do is 2 feet ahead of you, and sometimes you can do 5, and sometimes you can do 20. But that's so he said something that people who are good at goal setting, that kind of stuff comes naturally to them. And so it's amazing.
And I think it comes naturally, or it has come naturally to me, just because it was kind of bred into me by my upbringing.
Yeah, it's good. Okay. I love how you talked about resiliency and words. I think that you are I've talked about this with actually a few people before, Emily, Dave, some of our friends. You are one of the most well-spoken people that I know.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
You really are. You're so smart, and you're so good at stringing together narrative in a way that makes people feel safe and calm and kind, and also just the way that you're thoughtful and you answer questions. You're really good at that.
That's really nice. Thank you. I think you naturally gravitate towards what you respond to. And I've just always been fascinated by people who are able to put to words the emotions that I have. And so that's a really nice compliment. I appreciate that.
So good at that. Okay.
Now I'm feeling pressure.
Hey,
I better be really articulate for the rest of this.
Perform, bird. Chuck. Sometimes I call Charlie Chuck. He doesn't like it.
I'm getting used to it. It's always Chuck. It's when you're mad at me.
Sometimes when I'm nice to you, sometimes just whenever. What's the hardest part about what you do? We've talked about this a lot. You sit at this intersection of religion and the LGBTQ plus, did I say that right?
Yeah.
Community. And you've sat there for a long time.
Right.
And you kind of get a lot of criticism from both sides. And so I'm not trying to answer your question for you, but I've seen it firsthand.
Right.
So what's that effect on you?
Well, thanks for noticing that. It's really interesting. I think right now there's a lot of polarization in the world. And I feel like this is kind of a relatable thing, that if you're caught in the middle of an issue or you see both sides, it can feel really isolating. Right. So I often find myself in the position where people expect me to be one or the other. And when I'm trying to claim both, I want to claim my faith, my belief in God, and and I want to be able to like worship and exercise my religion according to like my own desires, right? But then I also want to honor my orientation, and not have to hide that from people or pretend I'm something I'm not. And because of that, it seems to, it's like petting a cat the wrong way. They're like, rare. And how's that for articulate?
That was good.
And it makes it hard because it's navigating a lot of gray space, right? Whereas if you're on one side or the other of an issue, it's almost like it's you and everybody else. It's like you against everyone else except for the people that agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's some comfort in that, right? Like, oh yeah, you see this the same way I do too. Everyone else is wrong. And on the other side, the same thing kind of happens. But when you're in the middle, it feels hard to be like kind of accepted and like belong to both at the same time, but also be rejected at the same time. But the thing is, polarization isn't like it is rampant as it is, and it's like there's a lot of people in the middle, and in fact, most people are moderate in some way, right? And I know so many LGBTQ members of the church and even like allies of my faith who also they just like aren't subscribing to one of those like stringent sides, right? They don't want sides because that's divisive. Like why do we want to rip apart our communities based on someone's orientation or someone's gender or someone's politics, right? Like what's the point in pitting us against each other? And so within this, I think the hardest part is building out this middle ground to where people feel comfortable to show up in it, because it is a hard place to be.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of been my why. That's like why I even came out publicly and started doing advocacy work, because I thought, if I'm this way, which I used to think I was the only one, but then I was like, if I'm here, there's got to be someone else. And if we're going to be happy, we're going to need to find each other and stick together.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's been really amazing to kind of build this community that's pushing back against these ideas that you have to pick a side. And I've seen a lot of healing come through that.
Yeah, I think it's also true with so many of the other things that you've talked about. I mean, elections coming up in like 2 years, and I feel like everyone gets so divisive around that. I mean, there's all these issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks that your orientation becomes one of the quote unquote issues. It's not fair, but I think building space in the middle, I love that phrase. It's so powerful and so cool.
Well, and I think it's also helpful, like from just a human relation standpoint, because if I'm thinking of like right now, I don't know how much longevity is in this like gay members of the Church of Jesus Christ space. Like, I don't know how long I'm going to be super active and like where this, because currently this is like my main hustle, It's like what I'm putting. It's not a very lucrative hustle, but it's what I'm putting my work into.
Right.
But I think it's really good. Like, I'm hoping it'll prepare me for other ventures, because that's always going to be an issue. There's always going to be differences among us. And I feel like if I can get really good at bringing people together despite differences and because of differences, then that's going to really prepare me for success down the road.
I love that. Okay, speaking of down the road, can you talk about your new book you have coming out?
Yeah, I'm so excited about this. So I'm going to send you a copy, and I'm going to drop it by your house this time.
You're not going to pay the $580.
I'm not going to pay the $580.
Rude.
You're not worth it. Yeah, so I just finished a book. It's called Expanding the Borders of Zion. And it's kind of everything I'm talking about. Like, I wanted to give like people from conservative Christian backgrounds really like concrete ways they can be effective allies, no matter where they're at, no matter what their belief sets are. And so I've worked as a therapist with LGBTQ individuals, and I've just done a lot of introspection with my life and my friends and clients. And I was able to start noticing themes of, this is the way we're trying to help these people belong, but it's having these negative effects, or there's a lot of ways that, like, I guess impact aren't matching intentions.
Okay.
And so it's been really amazing to like sit down and write these things through and kind of like put to words a lot of emotions I feel and a lot of like social patterns I'm seeing. And I really, really believe that when people read this, they're going to be more confident in standing up for people and having allies and just kind of like keeping a closeness among friends and family members and community members.
Okay. Can you give us like a little sneak peek? What are some of the themes you've seen?
Yeah. So a lot of it are like phrases that we use that we think are helping that are actually like kind of detrimental.
Yes. Please teach me.
Well, I want you to read. I don't want to give everything away. But I'll tell you what I did. There's this development theory by Vivian Cass, and it's this. She's an amazing researcher, and she's Australian. So she took this sample of Australians back in like 1978 of like gay Australians, and she watched them over a long period of time and noticed like 6 pretty set stages of coming out based on their like life stories. And so the first 3 stages are really internal of like trying to figure out who they are and how they fit with themselves. And then the final 3 are like, who am I and how do I fit with the world? Like after coming out. And so she has these 6 stages, and she talked about like the challenges and how to support people at each stage and what someone might need, like what to look for as a therapist, right? So as I'm working at BYU, I'm reading. I was doing a therapy internship at BYU, my final year of grad school, and I come across this theory, and I'm like, this works so well within the framework of my religious structure. And I kind of like made observations and like added to this theory and kind of like localized it for, the structure that I'm operating in. And so my favorite chapter is where I explain these 6 stages and how they usually, like come to light in a church setting within our community, or within my community, and then how people can help when someone's in that stage. And I think I'm just so excited about this because it's almost like you have to take a different approach at all different stages. Like if someone came to me today and was like, you know what, how's struggling with your same-sex attraction? I'd be like, what? Like, I'm gay and I'm happy with that, But like 5 years ago, I never would have said the word gay. I was scared of it. And so like, as I've developed and gotten more comfortable, it's kind of like changed my viewpoint and kind of like what I need from those around me. And so I think if we can all get really good at supporting people and recognizing those stages, then we can yield much healthier results as they move through them.
I love that.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So when does your book come out?
So it's available for pre-sale right now, actually, on my website, mrcharliebird.com. And then it'll be in stores on Amazon and Audible, probably like the 2nd or 3rd week of January.
Okay, perfect.
So it's right now, baby. It's go time.
Let's go. It's like such a good book for like Christmas. It's like a great Christmas gift. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna give it to myself. No one ever buys me anything for Christmas.
Well, nobody knows what to get you.
Do tell.
What do you mean? Like, what do you get Susan Peterson? Like, every time I go to your house, you give me something. Like, remember when you gave me an ice maker?
Well,
I like mentioned casually that I'm like, man, I wish I had ice in my house. And she's like, here's this ice maker. I'm like, Susan, I'm not taking your ice maker.
Well, it's because I couldn't return it to Amazon.
Amazing.
And so you took every time it's mostly been stuff I was going to throw away anyway.
Yeah, but your cast offs are really nice. Like for someone like me, I'm like, this is the nicest thing I own now. I wish we had the same shoe size.
Oh my gosh. The kids wear the same shoe as me.
Oh, that's so fun.
And then they just wear them out. Yeah. What is one lesson? Charlie, we are too good of friends. It's hard to take each other seriously.
It's like, this is like a formal setting.
I know. The thing is, if you came into my work and saw me actually working as CEO, do you think you could take me seriously? Or do you think you'd like...
I think I could.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just have to tap into like my old view of Susan.
What does that mean?
I don't know. Like, you're very impressive. Like so you came and spoke to my class forever ago.
Yeah.
Remember this? And I like fell in love with you because like somebody asked about work-life balance and you're like, that's a lie. It's never going to happen. You're always going to be unbalanced and you just have to deal with it. And I again, like with the black hoodie moment, I'm like, who is she? She's just so honest
Do you know I only ask men that question on this podcast?
about work-life balance.
Yeah.
I love that about you too, because it's like, I don't know.
Let's flip the script. Let's flip the script.
Flip the script.
Yeah.
You're going to ask me about work-life balance?
Well, it's mostly when people have kids, but yeah,
Right.
do you want to talk about work-life balance?
Like, it's unbalanced.
It's never going to happen.
But so like I was really impressed, and you know, you're like, I was on Shark Tank. I started this like multi-million-dollar company. I'm like, oh, she's amazing. She's just like sewing a little moccasin in her garage or whatever.
Sure, yeah.
And that's so cool. Like that's fun. And so like that's my old view of Susan of like,
Oh, no.
which is congruent with my current view.
Okay,
But
continue.
As your friend, it's like a little less like, I don't know. I should just shut up.
I got knocked off my pedestal, huh? Yeah.
No, I'm just less scared of you, I think.
That's good.
Like it's less like, I hope she likes me. Like I
Mhm.
want to please her. And now it's just like,
Yeah.
what's up?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not that intimidating when you get to know me.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'm like pretty nice and
I think I could take you seriously at Freshly Picked.
okay, you would do it.
I wonder what I would be like working for you. It would not work because
No.
I'd give you way too much lip.
No, it would not work.
I'm like-
Okay.
Authority over me. Yeah, right.
Okay, here's my next question. Which of my employees did you steal that key from?
I'm never going to tell you.
I think I know who it is.
They're a good person.
There Charlie broke into my office. He used me. He broke into my office. He stole my beloved sheep, and it's missing.
It sounds like do people like everyone who's listening knows this is like a figurine sheep.
No, it was a real sheep.
What's the story behind the sheep? Like, how'd you get that sheep?
We had a designer that just gave it like it was part of our office design.
Oh, fun.
And then somehow ended up in front of the mirror. And then I started taking my shoe selfies on it, my shoe fees.
And then you
and-
put the little moccasins on.
And
It's
it
really cute.
became like iconic. And then one time I went to this event in Palm Springs and my friend's like, I found a place for you to take your shoe fees. And it was on a camel. So then it kind of just became a thing. Like I put my leg up on the sheep and I take a shoe fee and
Shoofy.
it's a shoe selfie.
Have you ever taken a Belfie next to the sheep?
Yes, but it never makes it to the internet. Only into Christian's inbox. Yeah, so Charlie actually stole the sheep from my office. He conspired with this evil woman named Emily Bell Freeman. She's actually America's sweetheart.
She really is. That's why I had to help her. She's like, I want to do something bad. And I was like, I'm interested.
Okay, then why did you help me steal Emily's Jeep?
Purely for chaos.
This is so nuanced. Like people have to understand so
Okay,
much about
we're
me
setting the
to
stage.
like understand.
So Emily's
like a
the
meme.
sweetest lady.
It's a meme from
and
2019.
Susan's like a badass, right?
Wait, this is the stage. I'm a sweet lady.
You're sweet too. But you like compared to Emily, come on.
That's the thing is everyone thinks Emily's a certain way. Have you ever gotten in an argument with her?
No, she would never argue.
She throws down.
Anyway, so it's just they get in this like, well, you stole her baby Jesus.
Who puts Jesus's out in October?
I agree with you, actually.
Nativities
But
belong in
it's
November.
like her job. She's like a religious
Yes. So she put out
podcaster.
3 nativities in October. So I took all the baby Jesuses.
This is so funny. So they get in this war of stealing each other's stuff. And Emily's like, we need to steal the sheep. And I was like, oh, I'm so down. I love a heist.
You do.
I love sneaking around.
So he came to my Halloween party. He was dancing with me, pretending to be my best friend. Talked one
Very
of my
Regina George.
talked one of my employees into giving him a key to the office, and he stole my sheep.
Yeah.
And today I took a shoe fee on a tiny little nativity sheep.
Did you actually?
Yes.
I want to see that. That's so funny.
It does not have the same energy. And
Small
someone's
sheep
like,
energy.
some small sheep energy. Someone's like, try putting it on a table. So I'm going to do that tomorrow.
I love that. I love that.
Okay. We're back to the pod
Okay.
because that could have been funny or that could have not been funny. Who knows? You know, you never know till you hear it. Okay. What is one lesson that you learned early on in your career, in your
And whatever my career is.
journey? Yeah. In your hustle.
In my hustle. So when I was, so Cosmo is a mascot. I feel like we were just name dropping Cosmo because we
Yes.
know him, but this is like BYU's mascot, and it's like an elite position. It's hard to get there.
Yes.
It doesn't sound cool if you don't know. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
But he's cool. It's a cool character.
I promise if you're listening, you have seen this viral video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So actually when I tried out to be the mascot, I didn't make it.
Mhm.
And part of that was just me being timid. You know, I was scared. And again, I think, you know, I feel like so much of it comes back to this, just like not really feeling comfortable showing up as myself, right? Because I spent so many years hiding an integral part of me and hoping I could fit in with society. And it like shut down a lot of aspects of my personality and my performance, right? I was always hyper vigilant and trying to make sure that I was like acting straight enough that nobody would like sniff me out, basically. So I tried out for the mascot, and I'm a good dancer, and I'm kind of like I'm like a slinky dancer too.
You do like to move your hips
Like
and your
I have,
shoulders.
yeah, like, and so I was so worried about acting too, like presenting too feminine to be this like masculine cougar. So anyway, I tried out. I gave like a half effort to show that I had rhythm, and I'm like, I can tumble, I can trick, and I'm athletic, but I wasn't like, I didn't grow up like an all-American gymnast like some of these other guys who were trying out. Anyway, so I did well in the tryouts, but not well enough, and I didn't like make callbacks, so I got cut. And I was really devastated because I really wanted this position. I'd heard about it years before, and I wanted it so bad, and I'd been training for these tryouts. And so what I ended up doing was I just never stopped coming. I knew what time tryouts were, and I knew what room they were in. So I imagined that whoever was Cosmo was probably practicing at that time in that room. And so every Tuesday and Thursday, I would show up to that room at the same time, and they'd be like, "What are you doing here?" I'd be like, "I'm just here. Like, I'm just interested. I want to watch." And then from there, I started like helping with, you know, just anything. I was like, "You need to wash the suit. I'll wash the suit." The
you need to
mascot
back
suit.
up a trailer. I got you.
I'm not kidding. Like, because there was like, Cosmo has like this dunk trailer with like this van, and they needed someone to drive it to San Francisco. And I was like, I'll drive it to San Francisco. So I'm like freaking in this like U-Haul van, 14 hours to San Francisco and back. But I just kept doing that, and I kept showing up. And as I'm showing up and getting to watch the training, and I'm getting to do the, you know, like I become friends and started training with them. And so my skills are sharpening, and I'm getting better and better. And really, I believe there was kind of like some divine intervention, because I really think like it was right for me to be Cosmo at that time, for like bigger reasons. But really, I just got it because I refused to quit. Like I was like, I'm gonna show up because this is what I want. And I think that's like was such a powerful lesson, that success comes from showing up, and it comes from showing up when nobody else wants to, when nobody else will, when nobody else believes it will work. And it also comes from showing up for other people and like serving. And I feel like I was able to like prove my, I guess like my worth, my interest. And then I was kind of able to like morph into what would become one of the most popular, you know, versions of BYU's mascot ever.
Yeah. Okay, I love that. So keep showing up. That's the lesson.
Yeah, like I'd say like a high amount of success just comes in arrival, just showing up.
Yeah, I love that.
Have you felt that in your work?
Yeah, I think my friend Nate Quigley, he always says 2 lessons in business is don't quit, and number 2 is don't run out of money, and number 3, then he has like 2A is if you run out of money, see number 1. And it's just like, it's hard to kill your dream. It's hard to kill your business. Once you've created momentum, it's actually really hard to kill the momentum.
Yeah.
And momentum comes from showing up. Momentum comes from like, I had a hard thing. We ran out of money. And I day to day, week to week, and then month to month. Literally at the beginning, it was day to day. I didn't know how I was going to like make payroll the next day. Like it was like big stuff like that.
Wow.
And then and then I made enough, and then I had enough of a cushion where I could go week to week, but I was stressed week to week.
Sure.
And then it became month to month, and then it became quarter to quarter, and now we're doing great. But I could have quit, and everyone would have been like, "Oh yeah, that's fine.
fair.
That was hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you get money stolen from you, you can quit, you know?"
Mhm.
And actually my investors told me I could quit. They said you can quit if you
You had
want.
a good excuse.
Yeah. And I just kind of looked myself in the mirror and told myself I wasn't going to quit. And I just kept showing up. And I had no idea from day to day what I was going to do. And just kept at it.
How did you keep that go-getter drive?
It was like, I mean, there were so many facets to it. During that time, there was just so many people relying on me. And so I was doing it for other people, you know? But also, this is not your podcast, Charlie Bird.
I like interviewing you more. Can I put my legs on your
Yes.
table?
Yes, of course. No, you just, there's been times in my life where I'm motivated by a goal. There's been times in life where I'm motivated by growth, by building, by success. And that was a time in my life where I was really motivated by fear, and it was scary and dark. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like you need to see a therapist.
I've seen a bunch of I've seen a therapist for that. I think that I don't know that there was so much going on. There was like this trauma happening. There was so many outside forces happening that I was just like getting day by day. And so I think even showing up when you're afraid and it's scary and dark is good enough to keep it going.
So you never regret not quitting?
I don't regret go like, yeah, I don't. I never. No, in fact, I'm so happy that I just like, it actually wasn't a choice for me. It was nice that people said you can quit if you want. But the second people said that, it became a non-option.
Explain. Like how?
Like if no one would have said that, I think I would have been a little resentful. Like, why does everyone expect me to just do this? This is really hard,
Gotcha.
you know? But as soon as my investors and like my board said you could quit if you want, I was like, I'm not a quitter.
Yeah, like tell that to my gut.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And so it just became a non-option. No, I'm so happy I stuck to it. It was so hard. It was so, I mean, trauma's a thing where you think you get to the nucleus of it, and then you're like, oh, there's another nucleus.
It's like a gobstopper.
Yes.
Just keeps going.
Yeah, and like one of the baseball size ones where you're licking.
Like, is this the final flavor? Oh, nope.
Here we go. And so, no, I don't regret sticking to it. And I feel like my resiliency now, what I didn't like, but I don't think there was nothing to do at the time, was I didn't like showing up, like fear being my motivator.
Mhm.
I don't love to be motivated by fear. I'd much rather be motivated by love or by creation or like something different, you know?
Right. But I think it is realistic that like if you're embarking on a big goal or you're trying to create something really moving or powerful, there's going to be a lot of different motivations behind that, and there's going to be phases, and it's really impressive that you made it through the fear phase.
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
It was an outer body experience for sure. Yeah.
And I don't know. I love that because, you know, so many people are trying to create an impact, and like it seems like really like attractive to like be a leader, to be impactful. But like even in my work, like you can say like, you know, like you were reading my bio as like an award-winning author and a podcaster and all these things. Like only I know like the grit and determination and just total BS that I had to put up with in order to tip the scale far enough that I could become that and make an impact. And it's fun to look back on that and be like, oh, that work was worth it.
Yeah.
And every time I showed up and every time I washed a cat suit, you know, and every pothole that I hit on the way to San Francisco got me to a place that no one's ever been before.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love that lesson. I hope I keep doing that.
Yeah. I hope you do too. It'd be a shame if you didn't. Okay. From that lesson, or just from anything you've learned.
Okay.
What is some advice you'd give 18, 20, 21-year-old Charlie?
Advice to my former self would be show up as yourself. Because I was so I think that's the hardest thing that I've had to learn how to do so far in my life.
How would you explain it to yourself? Do you know what I mean? Because I think when you're that age, you're like, oh my gosh, Mom, I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know if I relate to that though, because there were so many things I didn't do just because I was scared of being judged or scared of not fitting in. And cliche as the trope is, I don't want to fit in, I want to stand out, right? I wish I would have learned that if I'm conforming my interests, my talents to try to be in the mainstream, then that's not where true happiness lies, right? And so I think I just hid a lot of myself, and because of that, people lost out on me. And the world lost out on what I could create and give, and I lost out on what I could learn. I think it made me kind of emo in a way, though, which is kind of nice. I used to write some pretty dark poems and songs about being so misunderstood, which are fun to look back on.
Self-inflicted.
Yeah, exactly. All self-inflicted. And one day I just realized that I can just be me, and if people don't accept that, then they don't.
Yeah.
But that's when people started actually accepting me. That's when I stopped having to try to be, popular or liked or accepted. And that's when people just gravitated towards me.
It's so interesting. I have this trick that if you ever do you ever get post-event regret or anxiety?
Uh-huh.
And you why did I say that? Why did I talk to that person? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so my trick is this. If as soon as you leave the event, and you start to feel that come on, you text everyone you talk to and you tell them something you admire about them, something you love about them, something you noticed about them. And the second you're not focusing on yourself so much, then that feeling just goes away.
I love that.
It's and I think when you accept yourself, you're more accepting of other people too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. That's really cool.
And so your relationships become deeper.
Mm-hmm. Networking.
Yes.
Opportunities,
yeah. Yeah, and I think people are gravitated towards the real you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I would want to tell my former self.
Okay.
You'll be fine.
You're going to shut up with your dumb notebook.
Oh my gosh. You annoying teenager, Charlie.
Okay, what legacy are you trying to build?
Oh, that's a nice question. I think I'm trying to build a legacy of, I don't know, for me or for others.
For you. What do you hope people remember about you?
Oh, okay. I hope that my legacy is someone who was a bridge builder, of someone who brought people together. And someone who gave everybody enough space and grace to find connection. I don't know. I just think that's so pretty. If I can be someone that can influence, family healing, relationship healing, community strengthening, I want to be the catalyst for those types of interactions.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Okay, we're going into some quick questions. They're actually not rapid fire. I say rapid fire, but
okay, rapid fire questions.
Okay, what's your favorite childhood memory?
The first one I thought of so we had this big ranch house growing up, and it's there's so many hallways and rooms in these old houses. The same one with all the encyclopedias in the room. And my room was on one side of the house, and my older sister's room was on the other. And we were both so paranoid. There was nobody in the town where we grew up, but we were convinced that someone was going to break into the house all the time. Yeah. And so one night I hear something and I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is the moment I've been waiting for. And for some reason, I'm 11. I'm it is up to me to save the family.
For sure.
And I was close to the laundry room, and there was this broken broom, an aluminum broom that had been and it was kind of like, it was sharp on the end because it had been broken. So I grabbed this and I'm like hunting the house, and I hear this burglar, and I'm going around and around. And I had no idea that whatever I heard initially, my sister also heard on the other side of the room. And she had a butcher's knife that she kept under her bed. So I'm
For this exact moment.
For the exact moment.
Yeah.
So I'm hunting this stranger, this robber, with this like mangled piece of aluminum. And she's
With a walking Tetris stick. Or not Tetris, tetanus.
Yes, exactly. And she's hunting this robber with this butcher's knife, but we're hunting each other.
Oh, yeah.
Because there was no one in the house. It was like something fell or something. We both woke up and we keep hearing someone, and we're like circling the house and all these like hallways and rooms. And finally we turn the corner and like face up to each other, and I'm holding the stick and she has this butcher's knife above her head, and we both start screaming. It's the middle of the night. My dad wakes up and he like runs, and he has a fireplace prodder stick.
So you guys are all, your first instinct is to grab something sharp.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Anyway, so then he's like, "Wah!" And like all three of us have our like weird makeshift weapon.
It's like that Spider-Man like meme.
Exactly.
Where you're like, ah!
And we're just like screaming at each other, and then we're like, whew. Anyway, it was so funny. There was nobody in the house. We were just hunting each other.
It's just like creaky old house.
Creaky old house.
I love it. Who's your best friend?
Oh,
pick wisely.
Jesus. Okay, so like usually I say that my buddy Sarah is my best friend, but he just signed me up for a marathon without my consent. So he's moved lower on the totem pole.
Did you really not consent?
I mean, I consented now.
Okay. So who's top?
Do you want? Are you fishing? Is it you, Susan?
No.
It's Emily Bell Freeman.
Okay. Top 5 Beyonce moments.
Oh, so I really like the Sasha Fierce album, and so most of my moments come from that era. Except, actually, I'll just give you the top one. Other than in the Homecoming when it goes da 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 da, drop it.
Oh yeah,
you know that.
So
everyone
good.
knows that part.
Yes.
Crazy in Love. But I saw her in concert and she sneezed.
Oh yeah,
Susan, I've never seen a more beautiful sneeze.
Oh.
She looked like her movement. I was like, she is a goddess.
She just sneezed.
Something about like her, like, I don't know.
We don't want to hear it if you don't like Beyonce. We're
That's
just
true.
so not interested. Okay, Beyonce or Taylor Swift?
How dare you?
I know.
Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna use feminism to deflect. And Susan, how dare you ask me to pit women against women?
It's not women against women. As a gay man,
It's one woman against
as
one woman.
a gay man,
Beyonce
or Taylor Swift. You cannot.
Here's the deal. I'm gonna go with Taylor Swift personally for me, and this is why.
Beyonce, if you're listening, you're my favorite.
I love you, Beyonce. I love Beyonce's performance. I love her. I mean, her vocal chops are out of control.
Yeah, and her concert.
Her concert is
unreal.
incredible. She puts on an amazing show. As a writer and someone who really values putting words to emotions and like drawing colorful imagery, I really like Taylor's lyrics, and I think she like speaks to the part of me that like craves good literature. How's that? But my dancer side's all B.
Okay, I hope she's not listening.
She's not.
What does your typical day look like right now, Chuck?
Oh my gosh, I'm on a horrible schedule. I'm a night owl, and because I'm like I've been working on this book project, I've been writing a lot, and I'm self-publishing the book, so it's like website building, figuring out design and stuff. I've just been working all night. Like I start working around 11, I go to sleep at like 4, watch TikTok for a little bit.
Oh, of course.
And then I'm waking up late and working out, and it's working for me right now, but it's not going to be
It's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable.
Okay.
But I'm getting stuff done.
Well, you do what you do when you got to do what you do, you know?
Wow, put that on a shirt.
I know.
New merch.
New merch. You do what you do. Okay. Last question. It's truth or truth.
Truth.
But I'm going to give you 3 categories.
Okay.
And you pick one, and then I have a question behind the door you pick.
Oh my gosh. That's kind of fun.
Girl boss, gatekeep, or gaslight. Pick one.
Can I choose girl boss even though I'm a guy?
Yes.
But I also kind of want Gaslight.
Who's your favorite girl boss? Who's your least favorite girl boss? Go.
My favorite girl boss is Barbara,
Barbara?
from Shark Tank. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I think she's so entertaining.
She's really amazing.
It's nice to bring up with you because you were on Shark Tank. Was she on?
No, it was Lori.
Oh, Laura's all right.
She's all right.
But Barbara is a shark to me.
She's amazing.
She just
I was on her podcast not too long ago.
Really?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It was fun.
Yeah, she doesn't take lip, and I just think that's so exciting.
She's really smart and fun.
Uh-huh.
Okay, least favorite girl boss.
I don't know if I can say my least favorite girl boss, because if someone's girl bossing, then automatically I like them.
All girl bossing.
I think girl bossing is really cool.
Okay. I see what you did
Susan
there,
Peterson.
trying to sell a book. I'm your least favorite girl boss?
I am my least favorite girl boss.
Well, you're not a girl.
Exactly.
Oh, gosh. Okay. Well, Chuck, thanks for coming on my podcast.
Yeah, this has been fun.
I love
cool
you.
Conversation. Did you learn anything about me?
No, I mean, yes. And I mean, I learned that you like sharp things in the middle of the night.
Rumor has it you did too.
You're the worst. But I mean, I've long admired you, and I just think you're really cool.
Thank you. That's so kind. I like being around you. Can I say one more thing about you before we close?
Yeah, as long as it's not perverted.
It's not. So, I think the biggest lesson you've taught me, and what I'm trying to emulate from you, is that I really think you have an abundant mindset. Success to you is not exclusive. And I saw that in the way you interact with me. And if I'm working on something, you want to make it successful. You want the people around you to also have the same level or even more success. And it's so impressive the way you give your connections and your time and your mind and your experience to people, to build up a stronger, I don't know. I see you build everyone up, and it's even amazing from the perspective of your business is huge and it does really well, and you've broken so many barriers, and then there's someone who's doing something that maybe other people would see as really novice or less than or not important, but you're going to show up and you're going to go to their events and you're going to give them advice. And I really love that generosity, and thanks for letting me be on the receiving end.
Wow, Chuck. Is this about the ice maker?
Yeah. Good ice.
Oh, you're so nice. I love you.
Me too.
All right. Thanks.